Hi and welcome to my very first plant tour. Hello, my name's Ramani and I am the mother of many leafy boys. Some of you might know me from my Instagram channel and have come here from there. Some of you might be new to my Instagram and my YouTube altogether. So we're going to be going through my 200 plus plant collection. Honestly, I haven't counted in a very long time. I live in a 2-story house and pretty much every inch that I have light, I have placed plants. But today we are only going to be going through my plant room and my adjoining sort of guest room where I have set up a lot of plants recently as well. If you want to see the rest of my collection and see the other spaces in my house, it takes a long time to film these, so make sure that you like and subscribe and let me know in the comments that you are wanting to see that, and I will be happy to film that for you guys. Alright, so before we actually go into looking at each of the individual plants, I wanted to give you an idea of the conditions my plants are currently living in this space. And the conditions are the exact same as the next room that we're going to look at because they both share windows on the same side. So to start off with, this is a north facing window. Each room only has one window facing north. The next room does have a door that I leave open sometimes, and that door would bring in a little bit of like the southwest sort of light into the rooms, but mainly they're living off north facing light. Now remember, I live in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, which means that this is actually pretty much all year round light, and it's almost all day long light as well. I don't use humidifiers. Brisbane stays pretty humid, and with the amount of plants that I've crammed into this room, it's pretty humid all on its own, and I don't really find that I need to substitute that. As for grow light, substituting light, I've just said that it's quite a bright room. There are some other spaces in the house that I think would benefit from having a grow light. I have one grow light in my study where I have used a grow light, like a halo one from Plants in a Box. That one works really great. I have one other grow light that I actually have no idea where I got it from. It's a really cheap one from years ago. I don't think it actually does anything. But I recently bought a Soltech grow light as well. And that's in a lamp that's behind me that I'll show you later. Almost all of my plants are in soil. I think that's a really big question that I get a lot, is if my plants are, especially my alocasia, if they're in self-watering pots or if they're in like leca or pon or things like that. The answer to that is almost completely no. They're all in soil. I currently have 2 plants in my own homemade pond, and if you have any questions about specific plants and their care, please let me know, because I might make a video about that to go in a little bit more depth if you're interested in knowing how I take care of my plants. Alright, so we are starting in kind of my alocasia corner. It used to have my Jacqueline here as well, but I've had a lot of issue with spider mite damage on my Jacqueline, and I feel like my Jacqueline is the host of the spider mites, so she's been moved off to the side in the hopes that the rest of these alocasias will no longer have spider mites, and it has worked. I haven't seen spider mites in a very long time. So I'm just going to point out what some of the plants are in this corner, and I might bring some up to the camera, or I might add in some footage where you can see them a little bit closer. So we're going to start off with the one that is peeking up in the bottom here. This gorgeous plant, is that focusing? Yes. So this gorgeous plant is browning a little bit, unfortunately, on the edges. It is a hookerai, Anthurium hookerai variegated. And I think it is just, I'm dropping dirt everywhere, and I'm going to do that this whole video. It is just the prettiest plant I have ever seen. Next up is my Alocasia watsoniana. I'm pretty bad with pronouncing names. I don't know if it's the Aussie accent, it's probably just me, but I'm very bad at pronouncing names. But you can see how stunning this plant is. It's in a very tiny pot because it came bare rooted when I got it. I definitely need to uppot it because it has grown like wild since I got it. This plant is the only one that I have in pon. My gorgeous Alocasia Frydek. So you can see it's in a self-watering pot. It's actually a really cool self-watering pot. There's water inside of that. I don't think you're going to be able to see it. This pot sort of soaks it all up, and then there is my own pon recipe inside of it. If you're wondering what this is, it has predatory mites on it. I'm just going to pop it off to the side for now so it doesn't look incredibly weird. This beautiful one also has this stunning leaf coming in, and this beautiful big leaf. Look at that one though. How beautiful is that? And these two leaves are both since I put it in pon. So pon works. Only for this plant. Pon works. So some of these plants are a little bit too big for me to pick up and take to the camera. So let's have a look at some of the plants that are a bit too hard to pull out. So this big one in the middle that I'm looking at is my Alocasia green velvet. It's also called the Alocasia mictuzelaza. I'm really bad at pronouncing this one's name, and I often accidentally call it a Frydek because, well, it has been known as a Frydek for a very long time in plant stores. It's often mislabeled as a Frydek. A Frydek is actually the variegated version, but you'll hear me refer to it as a Frydek all the time just because that's what it was sold to me as many, many years ago. Had this one for 5 years maybe? Could be long. No, I think 5 years in total I've had this plant for. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know I had some issues a while back with it starting to look really unhappy when I moved to the new house, and so you can see I've added this secondary pot, and this secondary pot was just to give it some more soil to grow into. It tends to look really unhappy when it's root bound. It was also, I think, not given enough light and overwatered at one stage. So many things, but eventually I plan on chopping at the bottom of this pot. Just chopping at the bottom of this pot and then taking this top part separately and then having the chunks at the bottom part. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but this will be a plant down here and then that will be a plant up here. I hope that makes sense. I will do it on video so you can see it if you would like. This next plant here is a tassel fern. Can't remember which kind of tassel fern it is. I believe black stem, that's it. I was just looking at its black stem and trying to remember. That's exactly what it is. So it's called a black stem tassel fern. If you are not very good at taking care of ferns, this one might be one for you. They're actually not that hard. Just give them a little bit more of a moisture retentive soil and you'll be fine. Again, not self-watering, just in soil. Gets decent amount of light and is loving its life. I've just had to turn some plants around so you can see this one here, but this beautiful plant is a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma variegata. Did you hear me pause for a moment? I'm going to do that for every single plant. This is the elbow variegated, but this is why I've also got the grow light in this lamp here, is because it's going quite yellow and it is getting some browning tips. Now you'd think the browning tips was an underwatering thing or an overwatering thing, but I do have, if you look in here, I've got a little susty in here, which if it's blue, it's watered. If it turns white, then it requires some watering. So I know it's not a watering issue now, thanks to that little device. So the browning tips are a mystery, and the fact that it's going quite green is also a mystery. You can see it comes through very white and then slowly gets greener and greener. So if anyone knows why that is, I'm speculating it's a light issue, which is why I've added the grow light up here. So I don't know. I'm really hoping that it is a grow light solution, and that if I add the light it will get whiter and stay whiter. But if anyone else has this and knows why it goes so green, please let me know. Please and thank you. Very hard to see, but down here I have this little guy. I don't know what it's called, unfortunately. It was a cutting someone gave to me. Let me pick it up. Oh. It was a cutting that someone gave to me at a plant market that I was doing. They wanted a plant, they'd run out of money for the day, and they said, would you trade for it? And I said, absolutely I would. That plant you've got in your hand looks very cute. Do you want to do a cutting? So yeah, he gave me a cutting of his beautiful plant, and I traded him for a relatively big pothos plant that I had growing, and yeah, happy days. Alright, so this next plant that I'm going to show you is my Alocasia Mellow. This little baby was looking really pretty up until yesterday, and then it started to curl. It needed a water. But it's sitting in water now, so it should be fine. But it's just a little bit curly. That's what it does when it needs some watering. But as I said, got it in some water now, so it should be fine. This is the big mama one. It's got a lovely growth point back there. If you followed me on Instagram, you knew that this one got eaten by a caterpillar. Like the stem got eaten by a caterpillar, and I repotted it, I got rid of the caterpillar, and I just sort of had to hope that it came back, and it looks like it is coming back, which is great. But this is still my little backup just in case it's not so happy. But yeah, I hate that it's curling now, because it wasn't curled yesterday, but of course it's curled today. Really stunning texture. This one here is a Syngonium Fantasy or a Syngonium Albo. It has really stunning variegation. This one leaf just wants all of the attention, this one green leaf, and I'm trying to show you its pretty leaves. There we go. So it has really stunning variegation. And it's variegation that doesn't really brown. So I know a lot of variegated plants tend to get those browning leaves, but this is really one that doesn't brown. Really happy, really easy. If you put this in lower light, it will probably tend to be a little bit more yellow. Let's see if I can find any. Yeah, so in here you can see that the variegation is a bit more yellow because it's getting less light, whether the ones that are more towards the front are a lot whiter, like this one here. These two here are quite white. There's one yellow leaf for you. Whoopsies. Needs to, I think it just got a little bit overwatered. Sometimes it also just drops its lower leaves. But I just keep putting in cutting after cutting. I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a few cuttings in the bottom of that. It's got 4 big stems at the top that I've got some like clear acrylic stakes on. Very hard to see. Doesn't want to focus. Yeah, so there's some stakes back there as well. And when it gets this tall, typically what I need to do is chop it back, and then I've got a jar where I keep them and then I propagate them. So I constantly have a heap of these plants on the go because it grows really, really fast. And it's just overall a super stunning plant. Above it, this is going to be really blown out because this window is super bright, and I am sorry about that. This one here is a Peperomia Hope. I've got 2 of them in my collection currently. This was meant to be sold, but now I just really love it and I don't want to let it go, but maybe I'll convince myself to. This one here, this is a little Hoya. I feel like it's Cunningham? Starts with a C, I know that much. Again, any names that I am failing to say, I'm just going to put them on the screen for you. But this one was just a single shoot that I've cut and propagated to fill out the pot. You can see it's got really pretty variegation. And I'm hoping that it will start to cascade down instead of look a little bit funny as it is now. This little guy here, isn't he cute? This one here is a dragon scale, elbow variegated. Look at those leaves. It's still in the moss that it came in, so I will do my best to care for it and get it growing big and strong before I actually put it in soil. How pretty. Definitely a long time wishlist plant, and the second one I've had because I did indeed accidentally kill the first during the move. It was just too little. It was too little and it couldn't take the move. So, oh well, things happen. This one here, let's again bump that ISO down. There we go. This one here is a mystery succulent. Never been able to figure out what it is. It came from my mum's garden. As all your best plants do, quite honestly. Some of your funnest and easiest plants to grow come from, you know, cutting from somebody's garden. As Jungle Haven would call it, it's a very diddy plant. So I think it's a very, very cute plant indeed. Down below it, over here, oh, very dark. Down over here, we have a beautiful string of turtles, a Anthurium doraki, and then just some general cuttings of plants in the back there. I think that's a Pilea peperomia moides. It's also known as like the friendship plant because it grows a lot of pups and then you share the little plant. I'm laughing at my pronunciation because you don't really know how bad you pronounce things until you have to say them out loud. This one here is a Dischidia. It's not an Obovata. Oh, I put that one on the screen too, but it's a beautiful variegated Dischidia. And beside it is just your regular Hoya polynera, which I want to move here because I think it was just getting too much light where it was previously. So I think here would be a nice place for it. Below it is another Anthurium. This one I'll put the name on the screen for as well. Very, very pretty plant. Just one that I thought would be fairly easy to grow, and it has actually been fairly easy to grow as well. It's just sitting there. Alright, moving up we have a beautiful, just plain dragon scale. I think eventually I will plan on getting rid of my plain dragon scale because I have another one downstairs as well. So I don't need 2 plain and variegated ones. So I'll probably end up getting rid of one of these. In this beautiful little cloche. I'll take it off because of the glare. You can see there you go. There we go. A variegated, oh, it's a pink variegated alocasia, not African mask, Amazonica, that's it. A pink variegated Amazonica. It's got two little leaves. It's very pretty. Look at the pink. Let me see if I can get a better angle of this. I've just dropped this plant trying to put this one away, so give me a second. Alright, so disaster has struck. There's soil on the floor, and I dropped this plant, and I snapped this new stem, and it was a whole nightmare. So I've actually taped it. I don't know if you can see it. I've actually taped the stem in the hopes that it will continue to grow, and I haven't killed it forever, but holding a very big camera and filming at the same time while trying to move things is actually very difficult, and I don't think that's going to stay there now. I'm really worried it's going to fall again. Yeah, because I'm going to repot it into here eventually, which is why I've got it sitting here, but I'm so worried that's going to fall again that I don't actually want to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there because I don't trust it there at the moment, because I've just gone and broken one of the brand new stems on it. So onwards and upwards, let's keep going. This one here is a variegated Amazonica as well, but it is not pink. It is just like a green on green or an Aurea one. So it comes out a little bit more yellow, but I find this one is quite green. You can see the two different shades of green there. This one here is a very cool Australian ficus. So I'll go grab the name. This one is a Ficus Frasier variegata, also known as the sandpaper fig. Super cool plant. It's one that you might only find in Australia. I don't know if other countries are selling this particular kind, but its variegation is just so cool. Alright, this plant, which was over here but I moved during the disaster, is a variegated Anthurium, I want to say Jumanji, but is a very, very stunning plant. It's not called a Jumanji, it's like it's basically spelled like Jumanji, so we're going to go with Jumanji. But its variegation comes through a little bit more yellow, and then will fade to this nice sort of like creamy white color. Moving on, this beautiful plant here is also known as a leopard lily plant. It's a white variegated one. This one tells you when it's thirsty. It will droop itself down very dramatically, which is why I have a susty in it as well. This beautiful one here is a variegated watermelon peperomia. So a really cool plant. I'm going to turn it around this way so you can see its leaves even better. Bit of a rarer one, super cool though. Coming up here, this one had some issues with the spider mites, which is why you might notice it has a predatory mite bag on it. But this is a string of pearls, a variegated string of pearls that is not looking very happy, because again it had been decimated by spider mites. If you've ever had pests on your string of plants, you will know how hard they are to take care of when they have pests on them. This one here is a Hoya Huschelana. It's such a stunning plant. The person I bought this from wasn't actually initially planning on selling this plant. It was just one of her display plants, but I thought it was so stunning, and I just asked her how much she was willing to sell it for, and we agreed on a really great price. And I'm so glad, because it is such a stunning plant. It gets like a little bit of a pink tinge to it when it gets really sun stressed, and it's just a really stunning plant. This one here is a Dischidia Million Hearts Variegata. Really fast grower, doesn't mind a bit of white, so some of the stems on its own are just plain white. This one did have some issues with spider mites as well when we moved. Again, I'd never had spider mites previously. This is just something that I've had in this house, but it didn't seem to hold its growth back by very much when we had that infestation. This one here is just a jungle cactus. I'm not sure which kind. This one over here is a Syngonium mojito. It's not super variegated because it's not getting a lot of light. I think that one even looks a little bit yellowed out. Yeah, that one doesn't look too happy. Oof. Oof. Yeah, that leaf looks, I don't know if you can see it. The leaf does not look happy. I just put a plant here to fill out this space. I have a much bigger version of this downstairs, so you can see it has not been very well taken care of, which I don't suggest. But I need to find a plant that can go down here that is not going to get all caught up in the back there. So yeah, I need to find some more low light, easy care plants. Don't we all? This one here is a string of beans. Not much to say about it. Pretty empty. A lot of it died when it got eaten up by a caterpillar. So that damn caterpillar, it took a lot of plants in this area. I skipped this beautiful plant here, but this is a Ripsalis. It just said Ripsalis in the label. If I can figure out what kind, I'll put it in the video. This one is a Ripsalis paradoxa, I think large, because there's a small and a large. This one I've had for quite a while, and I absolutely love this plant. Really cool leaves. Don't even know if you can call these leaves. Behind it I have a watermelon peperomia. This one's doing a bit of a weird cupping thing, where the leaves are growing in cupped. I could figure out why that's happening. Probably should figure out why that's happening. It still looks pretty, so I don't really mind. The cups are kind of cute. Yeah. And then beside it is this super awesome plant. I don't have the name tag on it, do I? No, I don't. But it is an ultra rare peperomia. It starts with a Z, X, which is why I can't remember it. I can't pronounce its name because it's a very complicated name. But I think the only person that's currently growing these, I might be wrong, but I think the only person that's currently growing this plant is the Growing Grounds. No. Good Growing? Growing Grounds. Yeah, so I think Growing Grounds, AJ, I should have just said AJ because I know her name. AJ from Growing Grounds is the only one that's actually currently growing these in Australia, and I don't know if they're being grown elsewhere, so really cool plant. This is another one of this same plant, but this one's a little bit less variegation. This is a beautiful peperomia. I always get it confused, so I'll put the actual name, but it starts with a T. Here is a variegated, it's supposed to be pink variegated, but I think the idea with pink ones is that they are only pink if they're really, really sun stressed. So it's just a white variegated, don't pay more for pink. It's just a white variegated Alocasia Black Friedic. It's only got 2 leaves so far, which is why I've got it in the cloche. This is really the only substitution for humidity that I do, and that's only with plants that have been tissue cultured and are really, really small, and they require a crazy amount of humidity that even I can't provide in these rooms. So some of them are enclosures for that reason. This beautiful plant here is my Syngonium chiapens variegated. It started growing this yellow color, which I was a bit confused about, so I chopped it, and it's given me 2 new growth points. They're a bit hard to see, but there's one there and there's one there. So those 2 new growth points are growing white variegation. Hopefully this top one will do the same. I have no idea why it came out yellow, but even its stem is still white, so who knows? Plants do funny things sometimes. We'll just wait and see. It's definitely getting enough light. This one here is another one of my string of turtles. And then up here I have a Ficus triangularis albo variegated. This one's had some mealybug issues, but seems to be coming out the other side pretty well. In this little box I have some very sad looking pinguiculars. These are little carnivorous plants, and I think that moss feels dried out again. It does. Keeps drying out. I need to water that, so that's why it looks a little bit sad, because it has definitely dried out. This one here is my Anthurium walquianum. It has this beautiful leaf on the go here. This is from where I cut this plant up here, this Hoya, and it dripped its sap down, and I didn't notice, and I didn't wipe it off in time. And once it's on there, it's so hard to get it off. You can see where I've actually damaged the plant trying to get that sap off, and it would not remove. It's actually physically damaging the leaf. If you can look at the underside, you can see how much damage I did just trying to remove that sap after it dried. So note to self and others, if you have sap drip from a plant, from a Hoya specifically, wipe it off immediately or consider it a permanent part of your plant collection, because it is not coming off without damaging your plant, unfortunately. This one here is my trailing string of spades. Just a very easy care plant to chuck in there. If it gets a lot of sun, it tends to get this like little pink sun stressing, which is why I thought it looked really cute in this pot. Beside it, you can see I have a Philodendron Majestic, which is a combination of a Soderoy and a Varicosum. Yeah, testing my knowledge here. Down a shelf, you will see here I have a very pretty Burley Marks Variegata Philodendron. It comes through quite yellow, and over time, if I can spy some, you can see that it will eventually go a nice white variegation, as you can see in the back there. I wonder if I can get to any of those. Probably not. Oh, and I've got some yellowing leaves down there as well. Yeah. I need to cut it. It's got a lot of green going on the side here, and I want to cut it back so I can get more of that beautiful variegation that's sort of getting taken over by all of these green leaves. It will want to put green leaves out if it's not getting enough light, so just need to give it a bit of a chop. Let's come down here. So over here, this is a Philodendron domesticum. This is a really pretty leaf. It had another really pretty leaf coming out, but sometimes philodendrons do this annoying thing where it has the Cinderella shoe, it like curves up, and it broke the stem. all on its own. It broke the stem, so that leaf snapped off and died, but it looks like it's got another one coming through, hopefully. It's just very annoying when those things happen. There we go. What a stunning plant. Next one here is a gorgeous Florida Beauty. This one here I did the same thing as the Syngonium Chiapens, and when I didn't like how it was growing, if I can get in here, I chopped the stem and a new growth point came off it. So surprisingly, this one continued to grow. This is the original stem. Actually continued to grow nicer variegation after I chopped it as well. I got a lot of very just plain white leaves, which is not good for the plant. So I chopped it in the hopes that it would give me a new stem with better variegation, or better, see, I don't know if that's plain green or plain white. It'll fade down to white. So I think that's a white one, not a green one. But yeah, it was all the way back here that it started going plain white / yellow. And then I chopped it and suddenly I was like, oh, you wanted better variegation? Here you go. Here's this gorgeous leaf. And then this one that's come off, you can see there's a new leaf growing there. This one has grown some really lovely variegation as well. So now I just have 2 stems growing, which is great. You can see where I've had some browning. That happens when you have plants that have white leaves, so I don't mind it. So this is my Monstera albo variegata. I think this is actually a small form. If you look at, who is it, A Rose with Plants, she did a video talking about what makes a Monstera deliciosa a large form or a small form, and she spoke about the petiole sheaths. So I think, according to the length of this petiole sheath, I think it's a small form, but I don't actually know. I think it is. It's getting very white though, which is kind of concerning considering I have had some issues with browning in the past. This one here has only recently come out of dormancy. This beautiful plant here is a Discoria discolor. It has like little bulbs that are in the soil that go dormant, and then when it gets warm enough and hot enough, these beautiful leaves will come out and it will vine as long as it's got something to climb on. It's looking very happy. This beautiful plant here definitely needs a bit of water by the looks of it as well. It's getting a bit crunchy. Did not like where I initially put it in this corner, even though it gets a decent amount of light. It decided to climb up and it found its way over here. So plants will find a way to get the color that they want. But that's also a Cissus discolor, I think. A Cissus discolor, we'll go with that. This one here is my only Amedrium. It's an Amedrium medium. Just a plain green version. Growing up a little bit of a moss pole, and then in the back there, not growing too happily. But this one here is a Pariso Verde. I don't know why I've put it in the darkest corner. It most definitely does not like darkness, and it will just grow plain green. I have a much nicer one that's outside because it's actually getting light. Alright, so right in the back here we have a Philodendron Lemon Lime, which is very pretty. And then a little bit further up, let me just zoom out. This one is a variegated Christmas cactus, which is really pretty. I want it to grow out a lot more, but it's taking its sweet time. This is a peperomia raindrops variegated. And a variegated hibiscus plant in the back there. Growing very, very slowly, though it's so pretty. This one here is a Anthurium regal cross, I think it's cross crystallinum. This one is a Bunnings special, so who knows what it's actually going to end up looking like. But it does seem like it has a little bit of the regal shape, I hope. Finding a pure regal is impossible. My New Guinea tassel fern that is not doing too well at all. And I'm hoping to grow it from cuttings, but it's, yeah, it doesn't look very happy. This one I have not figured out how to grow yet. This one here loves doing that little Cinderella. Don't know if you can see it. Let me put it down so I can zoom in. It loves doing that little Cinderella thing, so it is a constant pain in my side, but it is a philodendron pink princess. I think this variation is called Pink Galaxy? I think so. It looks a little bit sad, but it's actually well watered, so I don't know why it looks so droopy. This pot here is just some cuttings of a Hoya Bella that I have in a different room and my Hoya Polynera that you'll see in a moment. This one here is my El Choco Red. Tends to do that little princess thing as well with its new leaves, but it has been growing okay recently. This poor Veitchii I overwatered. I was silly. I overwatered it. Now it's growing really yellow. So the old leaves haven't, ironically. It is just the most recent leaf that has decided to go yellow, and I feel very silly about it. In the corner here, I have a Monstera Adansonii mint and it's like as soon as I've turned the camera on, my brain's turned to pudding, but you know, here we are. So up at the very top level there, we have a massively long Anthurium pallidiflorum. You can see this, it's its most recent leaf. It's still very soft, but it is just a stunningly large plant, as you can see. I have a Polynera Albo marginata. Really stunning Hoya, a Linearis, and a very sad looking New Guinea tassel fern. So please ignore how absolutely devastated that plant looks. Next we have another Hoya, a very lovely low light plant that I cannot remember the name of, and a Philodendron Rio growing in the corner there. Over here where I put my laundry, I have two trailing plants. On this side here, it's a Pothos Neon. And on this side here, it is a Pearls and Jade Pothos. You can see it's quite full and lush. And if I go to the other side, I've hidden all of my plant care trolley over here. That's the Neon. This is my beautiful Jacqueline, and if you are not new to my Instagram, you definitely would have seen this beautiful plant. It's looked a lot fuller and it's looked a lot happier, but spider mites have definitely taken a nibble out of this gorgeous plant. But there is a new leaf. Where can I see the new leaf? On this side? Yeah. So there is a new leaf coming through. It is growing, guys. It is growing. It's just seen better days, unfortunately. This is another one of my green velvets that I had as a backup, growing quite happily here. And then over here, right at the bottom, I'm blocking all the sunlight now. This one here is a super cool anthurium that I have not seen anywhere else. It is an anthurium passicum? Yeah, this is the label. Never seen it before, ever. I've no idea how to care for it, but I mean, it's growing fine. I've had it for quite a few months now, so hopefully I can keep it alive. If you guys have ever seen this plant before, let me know. Alright, so the next room that we're going to be looking at is the guest room that's attached to the plant room. This is one that I only really recently, right before Christmas, have I actually sort of set up the space properly, and I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So we can start having a look at some of the plants that are here now. Again, same conditions, very blown out lighting because we have our north facing windows here, blasting this room with light. Unfortunately, no ceiling fan in here, so it's quite hot and I'm sweating quite a bit, but we can do it. All right, so top here you can see a very beautiful fern. It is a Boston fern, but it is variegated. It is absolutely stunning. I would take it down, but it is very hard to get down. Let me move the camera up though so you can actually see it. I'll put in some close-up clips of it as well so you can see the variegation on it, but it is a stunning plant. I've only had little bits of browning, and that's mainly because when we were renovating the room here, it got lots of dust on its leaves, and so it wasn't really happy with that. But for the most part, it's in a self-watering pot. It's one of the only plants, I think I've 4 self-watering pots. It's still in soil, but it's in soil in a self-watering pot. So only a few of my plants are in those. And it just helps me out with those ones that are a little bit more thirsty, like this one is. Let me tilt it back down and I'll show you some more plants. So this gorgeous gal here is another Peperomia Hope. Super duper love this plant. It is just such a stunning plant. Super easy to care for. One of the easiest peperomias you'll ever get. I know a lot of people have issues with peperomias, but this was the peperomia that convinced me that I could care for peperomias. Sometimes the stems get a little bit heavy and they will start to like bend and snap, but you can even see, I don't know if you can see, where can I show you? I have taped some of the stems here as well when they were starting to bend and break, just like I did for that Hoya polynera that I broke earlier. I tape it and it tends to survive. Like, look how long that's grown after taping it. That was after taping it. So guess it works. You know, you don't need any fancy tools, just a little bit of tape and you'll be able to fix your broken stems. Yeah, so far that's worked out. The only time that's ever not worked is if the stem coming through was really young. I don't know if that polynera stem is going to pull through. It is a really small stem, so we'll see. Isn't it so pretty? So this is a Jade Satin Mint Synapsis. I just think it is so stunning. I've put it on a moss pole because I want it to continue growing big leaves. I don't want it to downsize at all, and eventually I also want to do what I've done with my Florida Beauty and the Syngonium Chiapense. I want to chop it while it's still on the moss pole so that it gives you more growth points and makes like a fuller, bushier plant without really having to worry that I'm like chop and propping it away from its, you know, root source. Speaking of, I don't know if you can hear that. Don't let your moss poles get this dry. That's just me. Oh wait, it's dripping at the bottom. How did I manage to have such a dry moss pole and such a wet soil? On here, it's just a little tasting station of plants. It's a string of jades. String of jade? String of jade. I haven't named my plants in so long. It's actually kind of weird talking to someone about my plants. I don't really talk to many people about my plants, so I keep forgetting the names because I guess I don't say them out loud a lot. This is a cutting of the Million Hearts Variegata, and then this is a jewel alocasia. They're all very thirsty. It's actually watering day tomorrow, so a lot of them are really thirsty. We've had a lot of really hot 30-degree days recently, so they've dried out a lot and a lot faster. So if they're not looking too happy, it's because they're all a little bit dry and I haven't actually gotten to watering everything yet. What other plants can we see? I mean, quite obviously, the elephant in the room is this gorgeous plant. Let me bring it forwards. This stunning plant is a cross between a crystallinum and a walkerianum. It's anthurium. And it was it the very first? No. My Clairnervium was my first plant. Let me move my hair out of the way. I don't want it to get on my mic. This was the second anthurium I ever got. My Clairnervium, obviously super easy anthurium to care for, and I got this as the tiniest little baby. Tiny. There's even a little baby in there, and it was probably about half the size of that small baby. Look. Stop. That's insane, right? Look at it beside my face. Like, you've got to be hold on. Look at that. That's stunning. I can't. It's also a very thirsty plant. I have not watered it. Very sorry, Mr. Plant. I will water you eventually. This one here is a Dischidia string of nickels. Very, very pretty plant. Very silvery. Pretty easy to grow. I tend to get some yellowing leaves on it every now and then. But it's so full that it doesn't really bother me when it loses a couple of leaves. Just a very cool silvery plant. This is an Anthurium Silver Blush. I now currently have 3 of these. When I bought it, it came with 3 little babies in the pot. And it started growing so big that it was stopping like the leaves from growing fully. They would sort of crumple up. If you know anything about anthuriums, you know that if they get touched in any way or get cramped, they tend to get like really bruised and really damaged. So it was detrimental to the plant to have 3 in the same pot. So I picked my favorite, and that one stayed in this pot. One got put in my garden outside and has promptly started to die. You know, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then the other one looks gorgeous. It's downstairs and it's on my to be sold shelf. So I've got a big plant shelf downstairs of plants that I sell. Really sorry if you guys want plants and you're overseas. I don't sell online. I only sell at plant markets, and I do plant markets very, very sporadically. So it's really only if you're local to Brisbane and go to like the Mount Gravatt fashion markets that you'll ever probably spy me. So very sorry if you're interested in buying my plants. I don't do shipping because that is too complicated for me to want to try and do. Moving it over a little bit more, you can see the rest of this stand. This plant, this is new to me. I got this actually, I won it. It's called a Anthurium papillaminum. My mouth won't do the things. Cross Aph Angemacanum. I don't know what the second one is. I have never seen that second plant before. No idea. I know paps are gorgeous, and I know a lot of people love paps and to cross with paps. But the second one, who knows? How exciting. Bris Duncan is a Anthurium grower out this way, and this is one of his. And so is that other really rare plant that I showed you earlier, that vining Anthurium. Same dude, just like a killer dude that has really cool Anthuriums that are super uncommon. They all are in beautiful soil. This is the most recent leaf in my care. That was a leaf that it came with. That's the most recent leaf in my care. So, if I do say so myself, I think I'm doing a pretty good job at keeping it alive, keeping it happy. It's in a really chunky soil. And overall, it's just growing quite beautifully. I love how dark the leaf is. Has a little bit of damage on it as it was coming through. Can you see that damage that I was talking about? But overall, I think it looks very pretty. Just a little baby cutting of a Hoya Matilde. I've got a massive one downstairs, but it was the instigator of the mealybug outbreak in my collection most recently, and I wasn't having it. So I took a cutting. I've grown that cutting out. It looks very pretty. And I probably am just going to keep the cutting up here because the one that's infested with mealybugs is downstairs, and pretty much every third day I am down there cleaning its leaves because it was wrapped around a circle trellis, and of course in between each of the crevices there was just an infestation of mealybugs, and every time I tried to get rid of them it would come back. And I'm considering getting ladybugs. I really am. Ladybugs are great for getting rid of mealybugs because they can get in there, they get in little crevices, and they don't do any damage to your plant. So I don't know, if I see any more mealybugs I'm definitely going to think about it. I'm going to have a house full of ladybugs just infesting my house. Very pretty though. This one, pity the time of day, it looks very sad. At the moment its leaves open up when it's later in the day and it's much cooler. It's way too hot right now. I think it's, what does my fan say? 31 degrees Celsius. Celsius, not Fahrenheit. 31 degrees right now in this plant room. It's hot. It's stinking. So it's not so happy. It doesn't like the heat, and it's curled up its leaves to conserve its energy. But this is a Maranta lemon lime. One of my favorite, super prone to spider mites. Super prone to spider mites. Even before I had a spider mite infestation, this was one of the only plants that I ever dealt with spider mites previous in my old house. In my old house, I had thrips. Day in, day out, could not get rid of them until I did. I eventually did get rid of them. It was really long, it was really hard, and I wanted to get rid of all the thrips before I actually made it to the new house, and I did manage to do that. If you want to know how I managed to completely eradicate thrips from my collection, let me know, and maybe I'll do a video on how I got rid of them completely in my collection. I haven't seen them since. However, my new battle has been with spider mites, and even before I started that battle at this new house, this one here had spider mites, but at the moment it seems pretty clear. My best battle for spider mites is predatory mites. I get them from a company called Bugs for Bugs, and so far it's been growing really happily. This is a bit of a weird one. It's like right in the corner. You can see my incredibly dusty fan. This is the fan that we use when we're renovating. So it is covered in painting dust. But in the back, you can see one of the coolest syngoniums to have ever graced the planet of the Earth. It's a Syngonium stemmarkii. Again, I'm probably pronouncing that super incorrect. Oh, it's in water. I'm not picking that up for you. It is in water. It's in so much water that I actually think I should probably tip that out. Don't leave your plants sitting in water. They don't like it. Unless it's a special self-watering pot. Don't do that. That's how you kill plants. That's how I would have killed this plant. You can actually see it's got yellowing leaves because I've done that previously. This one here is the Syngonium stemmarkii. It has the coolest shaped leaves. Just so cool. One thing that I love about this plant is it doesn't mind being in a dark corner. So while this is not the darkest of corners, as you can tell, it's one of the lower light corners in this room, and it doesn't mind. Again, it has some yellowing leaves because I fail as a plant mum sometimes and I leave it in water. And a beautiful little plant stand here. Stunning. This is a Calathea something. This was a gift from my partner's grandparents as a moving in gift. Does it have a name on it? Of course it doesn't. Doesn't have a name on it. No idea what it is. Just a general Calathea living its best life. Look how pretty that is though. This next one here is a jungle cactus. I believe people call it a curly Sue, which, I mean, you can understand why it's called that. Look how curly its little leaves are. Little curly Sue. This one here is these two are both Syngoniums. This one is a Wenlandii, and this one is a Three King of Spades. A combination of three kings and spades. Very pretty, but you can see they're actually both in, oh, you can't see because the lighting is so dark. They're actually sitting in water. These are cuttings that I've taken, and I'm just simply hoping to grow them in water for the moment. The thing that I love about Syngoniums is how easy they are to grow, the fact that they don't mind being in low light. I just chuck them in some water, they grow some roots. Bob's your uncle, I've got a new plant. Over here I've got some beautiful little cuttings growing. This plant is so popular. Everyone loves this one when they see it. I have a bit of a hatred for it because it is so prone to every pest you can imagine. At one point, this plant had spider mites, thrips, and mealybugs all at the same time, which you've got to love a plant that's dedicated to ruining your life. But inside, can you see it? Yeah. there is a box of predatory mites, like a tube. And then, is there a baggie? I thought I had a baggie. There's a baggie, there it is. So yeah, it has a whole tube of predatory mites on it and a little sachet of predatory mites as well. So it shall not have any more pests for now. Over here, I have a very pretty alocasia frydek. Just a little baby growing. This one is one that I'm going to sell eventually. Oh, that's a new leaf. Oh, that looks pretty variegated too. Up here we have another gorgeous Dischidia. This is the mother plant of the other plant that I showed you. We have a string of dolphins. This gorgeous little white variegated plant here. It goes really bright pink if it gets sun stressed as well. This is my philodendron blizzard. Some of the leaves are super variegated. I think the most recent leaves aren't coming through as variegated, unfortunately. I've had some issues with variegation. With this plant, randomly out of nowhere it will just start reverting back to green, even though it's getting, as you can see, really bright light. I think this is again one of those plants that just wants to be outside, honestly. And I might oblige, I might just end up growing it out on my veranda. That's what I've done for a bunch of plants that just feel like they don't want to be inside and they just really protest about it. But it still looks really pretty in the meantime. This one here is your zigzag or your rickrack cactus. As my air purifier. This one is a Dischidia obovata. This one blooms like nobody's business. It looks so full, so lush. I've taken 1,000 cuttings of this plant, but it is just such a happy plant. And then one of like the biggest prides of my collection, and the reason I decided moss poles was something that I really wanted to invest in, is this gigantic Epipremnum pinnatum albo variegata. Comes through a little bit more creamy and then fades down to that stark white that you can see at the bottom. And even though this is in a corner that's not getting much, still getting bright light, but it's not getting super bright direct light, its leaves just keep getting bigger and its leaves grow. So this is its most recent leaf, which does not look as big as its predecessors, but it will grow massively over the next couple of weeks until it's probably the same size as these gorgeous leaves. So in comparison, here's my hand, and I can't even fit the full leaf in the frame. That's how big it is. Absolutely massive plant. All right, so sitting down now because that was pretty exhausting, mainly because it was so hot. But I have added some soil back into this plant after it's fallen, and it's looking very sad, but hopefully it will be okay. Thank you guys if you've stuck around all the way to this point. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you really enjoyed it, please again do the YouTubey things, like and subscribe. This was part 1, so if you guys are interested in the rest of my collection, of course that wasn't 200 plants in these 2 rooms. There are plenty of other plants in the house and on the veranda and in our downstairs patio. So if you want to see the rest of my collection, plenty more different varieties of Anthurium and Hoya and philodendron, and I actually have caladiums downstairs as well. So again, if you're interested in seeing any of those, please let me know in the comments below, and have a lovely 2025.